So, hello students, I Deepika Saraswat, and students, today I have a lecture number 4 in front of you. As we have already discussed about the three lectures, which was totally related with the basics of object-oriented programming. So, if we take some previous inputs about this topic, so we have seen that we are always talking about the object-oriented programming and its benefits. So here I have a small discussion on the comparison between POP and OOP, which is comparison between procedure-oriented programming and object-oriented programming. So students, in this video, we are going to discuss about some uh, features, we can say some positive points which are regarding the procedure-oriented programming. Because students, one more thing that we always not keep in our mind that procedure oriented programming is not a negligible approach, but we can say that OOP have some different features which we didn't follow in procedure oriented programming. But here we are seeing some comparison about procedure oriented programming and object oriented programming, and I have a practical approach also here, by which it's very easy to understand you that how we'll write the program in procedure oriented programming, and how we'll write the program in object oriented programming. So as usual, we have some outlines that we have already taken our previous videos. So the outline which is related with some prerequisites that we'll follow here, that what things you should know about previously when you are going to listen this video. Now the second one is the objective of this video, this lecture. The third one, we'll take some review about some last lectures, previous lectures. And here we have some introduction about the procedural oriented programming, because we have taken so many discussion about the object oriented programming. So here we have a small discussion on the POP. Now I have some good points about the POP that I have mentioned here. So we will have some discussion about the POP also. Now next I have an example of POP, and similarly I have an example of object oriented programming. So here we'll discuss all these things with the help of the practical approach. Now at last we'll go to the conclusion of the video. So we have some learning outcomes here and the last references. So if we talk about some prerequisites, so previously we should know about some programming approach, that how we should write any program. So there should be some knowledge of the programming paradigms, and we should know about that how we'll run the simple program here. So this is the very simple prerequisite, that you should know about the basic terminology of any program, that will that what things we'll write in our program, just like how we'll start our program in according to the procedure oriented approach. And somehow the next we'll discuss here the objective of this video. So in this objective, I'll try to clear the differences between POP and object oriented programming with the help of the practical approach. So if we talk about the differences here, so differences here is not in this way that we are considering that which approach is better to another. We just try to find out the practical things, that how we'll write the practical in POP and how we'll write the practical in OOP. So that's we'll take here. If we take a look about some previous lectures also. So in the previous lectures, we have discussion up to the class and objects, and we have also discussion about some access identifiers that we'll use in our program. Now students, next we'll move about the POP. What is procedural oriented programming? So students, if we start with the, it's a name which is procedural. Procedural means a way, a path, or we can say some steps. So in this kinds of practical approach, we follow steps, a path with the help of a conventional and programming systems, conventional methods. So this is a kind of conventional programming system, and we can say it's a kind of traditional terms by which we'll write any programs. And in this approach, have some problems in a view of some sequence of the things. So we can say all the task and manner is done in a form of some sequential way, and that sequential way is also known as the algorithms. So it's a approach which is based on the algorithms also. Now next we have some functions here, that here we are using number of functions, and these all functions are written to complete these tasks, and each and every things are depend on the functions here, and each functions are depend on the previous data, so everything is in a sequential manner. So this is about some procedure oriented programming. Now here I have some good points about the procedural oriented programming for you. The first point is that program is totally depend on the steps or sequence. So that is totally emphasis on the doing things according to the algorithms. So that emphasis on the algorithms. The next, the large programs that are divided into smaller programs, so which is known as functions. So here we are using a concept functions in which we can divide the large programming code into a smaller programming code. The next, most of the functions that share the global data, it means our data is very much globally. Here we can use any kind of data types to any of the functions, so that it uses our data in a globally manner. Now the next one, the data move openly around the systems from function to function. So it's a very easy approach, and with the help of these functions, we can use the data. Now the next one, function transform data from one form to another also. And it's a very important point, which is it implies top to down approach in programming design. So this is very important points that we have discussed in object oriented programming. So the one and very basic difference between POP and OOP is that POP is follow the top to down approach, and OOP is follow the bottom to up approach. If we talk about the top to down, it means we have every task is calling from the main function, and we have main function at the top. And whenever we work according to the object oriented programming, so here we'll calling at the last, and main function will be implement at the last, and each and every task will be calling at the upside with the help of the objects. So this is a very basic difference between POP and OOP. Now students, we have some practical approach here that we'll discuss about a program by using procedural oriented approach, and here we'll discuss about a program by using object oriented approach. So students, I have a small discussion about a program which is totally related with practical approach. So students, I have a program for you which totally depend on the procedural oriented programming. So here we can see that how any procedural oriented programming can use here. So this is the declaration. So that declaration is known as the top to down approach. So here I am using the word top to down here. Top to down, it means the main function is at the top, and each and every task is done accordingly. So we can say this is a kind of algorithm based step by step procedure. So how it is known as step by step? Because we can see the here that if we want to display a program, like our program is to take we need to take two numbers, and we need to find out the sum and average of the number. So as I am writing the name of the program, to find the sum and average, we can give the name of our program also. Now, in this program, what we are going to do, here we can see if we are going to find out any sum, it means we are doing a sum on any kind of variable. We need some variable also here for the values. So for the sum, first of all, what we need to do, we need to give some inputs here. So this is the input values with the help of some variables. So I am using some variables here like number 1 and number 2. So I am taking two variables here, which name is number 1 and number 2. Now I'm going to plus these two things. So I'll use a formula number 1 plus number 2, and I'll just give the output to the sum. So the one more variable which is for sum, and for the average we have a variable average. Now because the sum and average can be in a form of a fractional part, so I am using data type here float. So float is used for taking the data as a fractional number. Now first what I want to type a message which is enter any two number. This is our message. So I am for the printing any message, this is very easy way to print any message that I can say this is simply output. Now this is the output message. Now next we'll move to take some two variables. I am taking two variables with the help of scene keyword. So I am using scene here, which will, so this is used for the input data. So I'm using input data here, and it will take two variables, number 1 and number 2. Now here I am going to do sum according to these variables. So I am using sum here, and sum will use as a number 1 plus number 2. So I am using sum is equal to number 1 plus number 2 here. Now the next one is average. So I am going to average the program. So average will be find out according to the sum. So I am writing average is equal to sum divided by 2. Now students, I am going to print some values. So the message is cout, sum is sum, and cout average is average. And the very important task that function which I need to write here, which is getch. So what is the use of getch, students? To hold the data, no? To hold the data on output screen. So the task of this is to hold the data on output screen. So we'll use this one getch. Now we're going to compile the task. So this is totally depend on the top to down approach, and we are taking step by step. This is very simple program. I'm going to compile the program. Now I'm going to run the program. So if I'm writing two numbers here like 3 and 4, I am mentioning here. So its sum is 7 and its average is 3.5 that you have taken here. Now this is the program which is according to the POP approach. Now the next simple program I'll open you according to the class orientation. And one more thing that you should keep in your mind, that program we have according to the inside the class manner. So here I am using the inside class manner because we know there are two types of class declaration. Basically it's not a class declaration, it's a declaration of data member and member function. So whenever we declare and mentioning the data member and member function defining outside the class, so for the defining outside the class, this is the another approach, but here we have defining all the data member and member function inside the class. So the all task is done in a package that start from class name up to the semicolon. So this thing is known as the inside the class. Now how we'll write the class program. So first of all, we'll just mention the header files here. Now the important thing that I take to do first, I declare the name of the class. So here the class declaration line, like I'm taking a class as a student. So I'm writing class, then space students. Now I'll start with some curly braces, because without curly braces, the body of the program will not consider. So I'll write all the things in the curly braces. So I'll write curly braces. Now I have two variable, which first one which used to declare the name. So I'm taking char name. Now the second one is used for to display the age. So I am taking the age here. Now the one more thing that we should be in practice always, that whenever we write any name as a character, so we should give some values also here, so that it can take some value. So I'll write some values like 30 here. Now this is the integer a, so this is the totally declaration of the data, so that thing is known as data members. This is that data members that we have always discussed about. So this is our data members. Now next thing, I need to take some functions also here. So that function is known as member function. So second, I'll use some member function. Now students, one more important thing, why we use member function here. So its answer is that whenever we call any program with the help of the objects, so when we call any program with the help of the objects, all object always take the value of the member function. It's don't take the value of the whole data. So that member function is a kind of we can say collection of the data members. So all the declaration of data members will be done in the function. So first of all, I'll want to declare the data member as a cout and cin form. That first of all, I'll want to enter name of some students, and I'll want to give some values from the keyboard, inputs from the keyboard. So I'll use cout cin keywords here. So in POP program, what happened, I didn't use any kinds of void get data and public things here. But to manage the, to bind the data in a form of functions, so we need to write the things. So whenever we bind the data in a function, this is known as the encapsulation, because we are binding all the datas here. So this is our encapsulation is going to done. In a class, we are binding data member and member function. So all these things are known as the encapsulation. Now we'll move further. So here I am taking first function which is known as void get data. Get means to take inputs of the data members. I am taking two inputs like name and age. Now next I want to print the data. So for this I mentioning the name of the function which is display. Now in display we are just simply doing the cout one, which will display, which will take the output of the checking variable. So I'm simply writing void display, and I am writing the name and age here. So this is simply display. And the one more important task, that we need to close the class here. So this is the class ending. This is very compulsory part. We always need to close the class. So students, this is the simple program. From start from the name of the class, then declaration of the data member, then declaration of the member function, and this thing is known as the encapsulation, and all these things are binding. Data is going to bind here. This is the total wrapping of the data, which is known as the encapsulation up to the close of the class. Now we are going to bind the data. Why so? Because we have taken two functions like get data and display. So all the input task is accessed by the get data function, and all the output and displays tasks are get in a display function. Now this is the time to declare the object. So first of all, we need to declare the main function. So we are going to declare main here. This is main function. Now students, we can also write void main, and we can also write int main also here, and we just need to return some zeros here. This is another one. Now, whenever we write any data in a main function, first of all, the task is to clear the screen for the output. So we are mentioning the task here, which is clear screen. This is the clear screen function. Now, student, this is very much important thing that you should see here, which is student as. What is student as? What it means? So here, student is the name of the class, and as is the object. So what we are going to do, we just declare the object here. So this is the form to declare any objects. So we have declared. So what is this object basically? Object means it's a kind of variable which take a kind of memory space by which we can take any kinds of member function, and that member function which have taken so many different kinds of data members. So here what we are going to do, we are taking the data from the member function, and then we give that data to the with the help of the objects. So here we can see that we are working on a function, not on the data. It means data is not showing here, the only function is showing here. So we can write one more thing here, that we are working with data binding also here. So this is concept is known as the data binding. So we can say that there are so many different features that we use in our program. So not not all the features of object oriented programming, but some of the features always include in our program, like encapsulation and data binding. So this is the form of data binding in which we are just taking all the data with the help of the objects. So we have declared object here. Now what is the way to take that data from the member function to call that data? So the way is that we always use object name with the dot operator. Dot operator is a mediator here which is used to call the data from the upper function. So we'll write always as dot get data. So whatever kind of function we'll use, we always use the as here. So we'll always use the dot operator here with the name of the variable. So we'll write as dot that get data. Similarly, we'll write as dot display data. Now students, whenever we declare first function, so we always need to terminate the function, because that line is only for the one function, and we cannot write any of the body of the program here. So this is only to define the upper data that we have declare it at the top. So this is the opposite approach in which we are managing all the main function at the bottom, and from the bottom we are calling the data which we have mentioned at the top. So we can see this is very much interesting method by which we call our data, and at last we are finding the get.ch. Now it's time to compile the program. So first of all, we just compile the program because it's very much necessary thing. Whenever you write any program, the first step to save the program. Now next step to compile the program, and then we are going to run the program. So it's demanding some values here. So it's saying that enter the name of the students. I just write the name of any students, and it wants age, so I'm writing the age. Now it will show me in a form of display function, so that when I'm going to perform the enter name of students and enter age, so this all task was done with the help of the get data function, and that another one, third and fourth line, that is done with the help of the display function. So this is the two functions are working here. So students, I hope you understand the task very much. Now next we'll move further to the another one. Now, students, next we'll share our PPT screen also here. And on that screen, we have taken so many points about it. So at last, we'll going to conclude the task, and I just take some learning outcomes about the things that in that learning outcomes we can say that it's going to understanding about the concept of class and objects also, and it's take some discussion about some access identifiers also. And student, one more thing, in the next video we'll take some discussion on the detailing of the object and class with the help of another practical example, with the help of the outside the class possibility. So here I am using the task with the help of the inside the class example, and next we'll consider with the help of the outside the class example. So this is about all these things. These are the references, and thank you so much. I hope students you will understand all the things. Thank you.